Now, you brought up something a little bit earlier about, specialties or specialization, and you said, for, nutrition, I'm going to reach out to this person, for speed to that person. So talk to me a little bit about what people reach out to you for. I know that from a tactical side, you're used as a consultant quite a bit. Can you speak a little bit about that role, and also the role that you and I were talking about with some of the ergonomic setup and preparation and training that you're doing?
Yeah, like I said, I guess my mind always wanders. So besides doing what I'm doing here with the Coach Rosie Performance, I'm also involved with John Hoffman. We have a 911 Tactical Performance and do some consulting out there. And really, it's a change. I mean, that's one industry that, 5 years ago, that wasn't even a term, or tactical athlete. And anymore, we always talk about terms, like things that kind of are buzzwords that kind of just
stick.
Yeah. It's like tactical athlete. I'm not sure what a tactical athlete is anymore. It's like, I'm a tactical strength coach. I'm like, okay, you work with a firefighter doesn't mean you're a tactical strength. You work with one firefighter doesn't make you a tactical strength coach.
Right.
What we've been doing as consultants is going in, and the last few years is really going into different organizations. Say, okay, the old way of the way you've been training, of pack and load on guys that have to go run 15 miles and then go push-ups, and they're doing 500 push-ups a day and going, the guys that are coming in are, as we see it, are very deconditioned. And they're saying, hey, guys are blowing their backs out. Their shoulders are blowing out. Well, we don't know what's going on. Well, you're having to do 500 push-ups a day for disciplinary action. Then you're taking them in, their PTs running 10 miles and doing 500 push-ups. I'm not sure why their shoulders are blowing out. Their backs are blowing out with 70 pounds of gear on their back and going for a 10-mile run. And they can't handle the volume of work that they're asking them to do. So a lot of, from a consulting standpoint, we're trying to go in and change the conception. Like we work with officers. I actually just last week got back from doing a course in California with John. We talked to police officers, and it's like, okay, we're going to have our guys, just like the old football thing. It's like, we're going to have them go run 10 miles. I'm like, when as an officer, and they're older officers, I said, when as an officer has anybody here ran a mile?
Right.
On the job. Well, nobody raised it. I'm like, how many have run 5 blocks? And we kind of joke, say, you run 2 blocks and then shoot somebody. I mean, and we jokingly say that. We're saying, you're going to chase guys. And I said, they get older, and they literally say, yeah, I'm going to chase a guy for a little bit. Then I'm getting on the radio and going, hey, a guy just jumped a fence. I ain't jumping a fence.
Right.
I don't know what's on the other side of the fence. 2, I'm in 60 pounds of gear. I'm 50 years old, 40 years old. I'm going to be jumping fences. I'm calling my backup. They're going to come around because I'm not going to take this guy by myself. It's those things like, okay, so why don't you add any speed and agility? Why don't you add any power to be able to get over? So one of the things we did with Post, which is kind of California's organization, like they're actually changed their testing procedures. Like the guys have to get in, jump a 6-foot fence. They have to do a dummy drag. They have to run an agility course. They still do the 1.5-mile run. But now actually this next year we're coming out again because they're talking about maybe changing up some of the parameters and testing they're doing again to make it more job related. So we're trying to get the guys to say, okay, you're changing up your testing. Now are you changing up your training program to match it, because you're still having your guys in gear running 10 miles and doing push-ups, but they can't get over a 6-foot wall because now you're dealing with power. They can't get through the agility run in the time they need to because you don't do any change of direction stuff. And it just kind of opens their eyes. They're like, oh my gosh, and all these injuries they're doing, and getting, they're all of a sudden seeing it going, wow, if I change up the way I'm training, I can take the maybe deconditioned guy and get them to where, because their goal is they're not trying to, kick guys out. They're having a shortage. They're trying to keep guys in. It's like, well, here's a better system to maybe keep some of these guys that really want to, but just don't have the physical capabilities because they're not getting the, super athlete that wants to become a police officer or a firefighter. They get some of those guys. So that's one of them. And then, I know I'm babbling here, but the other
No, you're fine.
I started a business with another buddy of mine who actually works for the hospital here. He's a sonographer. One of the things he came to me a couple of years ago, he was actually a police officer and then quit his job, went back to school, has a family and kids, went back to school to become a sonographer. He does, sonography of the heart. So he does, looks at hearts as his profession. Well, 9 out of 10 sonographers scan in pain. Well, he came to me and said, literally one day called me and said, Rosie, and this is when I was still at the Browns, he called me and said, Rosie, I can't even, in the shower, I can't wash my hair. My shoulders hurt so bad. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to quit and go, and in Yankton, South Dakota, if you're not a sonographer, he's like, I'm going to have to go drive truck. I'm going to have to go farm. I'm going to have to do something besides what I'm doing. What do I do? Well, we get talking, and I'm like, and he played football, college football, and I'm like, what are you doing? Well, he was trained like a college football player, and his shoulders were killing him, so we changed up his program. Well, 12 weeks later, he's like, I literally have no more shoulder pain. Well, he related that story with some of his colleagues. They're like, how's your shoulder? He goes, dude, I have no pain whatsoever. And what happened was one of the organizations contacted said, hey, would you be willing to do a webinar? This was 3 years ago, and it kind of just took off that, people from Finland were saying, hey, can you send me a workout program? People from, different places.
Now you're the expert on this.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I'm like, hold on. I talked to him. I said, dude, I can't keep writing programs for all these people. So we put together a book with some exercise in it. We put together a DVD, and it was just a whole other area that opened up for us, another niche. So, we just had an article published, three-section article in Australia. We were up in Canada. We were just in Orlando at a conference there, and tying in exercise with ergonomics. And the ergonomics folks are like, well, you should be in great position. You need to do this and this. And the example is we give people, it's like one of the things they say is in ergonomics is you should never reach over a patient when you're doing a scan because it puts your arm in a bad position. Well, at the conference, there's 100 people there. I'm like, how many have ever reached over a patient? Well, every single one of them put their hand up and said, how many do it on a daily basis? They all put their hands up. They're saying, and not knocking, but they're like, when you have a 500-pound patient and, you're supposed to adjust your computer and you're supposed to do all the things, they're like, we have 20 minutes to get this done, and it's going to take us, so of course you're just going to reach over. Well, when there are those bad positions, we just go in and say, hey, if you do these exercises, these stretches, it'll help you feel better. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So couple different business avenues that came up within the last 3 to 5 years, but it funnels back right into what you're doing. We talk about performance. So whether it's performance from, the scanners, I have a friend who owns, some hair salons. He's contacted me because, hey, my cutters are in this position all day. They're only cutting 10 heads instead of 15 heads. I'm losing money. They're losing money. What do we need to do? So there's an avenue. It's like, okay, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to create something for this niche market. So now we're helping hairdressers, and I'm not much, don't look like much of a hairdresser, but now I'm doing some things to help hairdressers. So when you look at some of those opportunities, it's like, well, I'm going to train. I want to be a trainer at a gym. Okay, well, I'm going to be a trainer, and I'm going to help train, hairdressers and sonographers and police and maybe fire and consult to do those things, and then still work with my athletes. But that all funnels back into just what we do. It's performance.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're trying to make that person more resilient at their occupation. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Well, that's
whether it's a sport or whether it's a job or whatever it is, or whether it's life and they just want to go play with their grandkids. I mean, to me, that's performance.